Children. Now we're off on a little trip to visit some other children whom I think you may already know.
Ana çok güzel. Arkadaşlar siz de gelin. Çok güzel.
Bak ağacın altındakilere bak.
Aa,
Marty and Elizabeth,
burası
who lived in Juna. You've heard of them, haven't you?
Haydi miydi?
Yok.
Do you remember when they had an outing and Marty jumped off the
çamaşır
roof of the
asmışlar,
woodshed
şunlara bak.
and nearly killed herself? Abe made up all kinds of crazy stories.
Ya
Like
çok
the night when he
tatlılar.
persuaded Marty to go to the wash house and pretended to be a ghost.
Ghost mu?
Now we're coming to Cattle, where Amy
Ghost vardı içeride.
Ne?
Hayalet
And
vardı.
look, there's Alfred.
Ya çok
It
güzel.
was Sunday, and they were having a party at Cattle.
Ana bayrağı
People were on their way to the party, and the flag was at the pole. Aha, that's what you thought. It was little Ida and Amy who ran up the flagpole. So it was the tool shed for Eamon as usual after one of his pranks.
Arkadaşlar vallahi canım çekti.
Suddenly they found that Eamon had disappeared.
Uyuyabilir mi?
Oh, how they searched for him everywhere, even in the stream. But there was no sign of Emil. But Emil had moved out of the tool shed. And over to the food store. And there, if you please, he lay down and went to sleep in a cupboard with a lot of sausage skins scattered around him. He had had his party. Another party everyone in Lüneburg talked about for a long time was the one given by
Ya.
Emil on Boxing Day.
Ya çok güzel. Havaya uçuyoruz.
The people from the workhouse to come
Ya
to
havadan
Cattle
gideceğiz.
and eat their food. He had a good heart, that evening.
Teleferik gibi. Çok güzel.
Have you noticed that we're flying? And those lights down there? That must be
Anne bu ne
Vasa's
zaman
in
bitecek ya?
Stockholm.
Çok güzel. Bak şehrin
And
ışıklarına
Midge's
bak.
house. He's probably down there, waiting for Carson as usual.
Hayalete bak.
Carson is a handsome,
Yok
intelligent,
hayalet değilmiş.
and
Neymiş?
reasonably stout man in his prime. He flies in when he likes.
Biz helikopteriz. Gidiyoruz bak. Ses geliyor helikopter.
Evet.
Carson lives in a little house on the roof. And here it is. Oh dear, what a mess. We don't want to stop here.
Şimdi bitti.
But what has happened to us
Fare.
now? We have become as small as Simon Small himself. He was no bigger than a thumb. And he lived under the floor, under Bertil's bed. He rented a flat
Fareye
from
bak.
horrid rats.
Hasan. Ay çok tatlı.
Bertil
Kuyruğuna
wanted to
bak
be
ya.
as small as Simon so that they could play together.
Birileri de duş alıyor.
It's fun to be so small that you can bathe in a sugar bowl.
Anne orası ne güzel.
Dur. Hayır izle.
Anne hayır bak düşerim. Şuradan sen bu şimdi öyle
Ama şey yok düşürürsün bak aşağı. Az izle. İzle az. Bak al
Oh, what
bak.
a storm!
Bak gel.
ne zaman?
And we're are in the middle of a great forest. This is Matt's
Hikayenin sonuna geliyoruz.
where Matt's robbers hang out.
Bunlar ne yapıyor?
Kırkalandı.
Yok artık.
Where treacherous grey dwarfs live behind the boulders.
Ay ben bayıldım buraya ya.
And rum hops beneath the roots of the trees.
Aa,
And there are Ronja and Berg too.
Gick folka så. Ronja syster min.
bak bunlar da böyle
They
dağ
had moved to the
şeyde
bear's cave
dağda
to get some
yaşıyorlar
peace and
bak.
escape from the row between Matt's robbers and Borka's robbers. Matt's robbers were standing beside Hell's Gap, furious because Bork's robbers had moved into the fort without
Ya
permission.
şuna bak, adamın poposuna bak şurada.
Orka din ärkemikkel. Jag ska häva dig ut ur Mattisborgen. Annars får du pigsvängen med dig, Matti!
But in the end, they became friends. And when spring came at last, Ronja yelled her own spring yell for joy.
Kıza bak, bağırıyor şurada.
But what's going on here? There's a fire. This was where Jonathan took his sick little brother on his back and jumped out of the window. There was no more Jonathan. He died when he
Camdakine bak,
jumped out,
bebeğiyle annesi bakıyor.
and poor Rusky was left alone. But one evening, a snow-white dove flew up and perched on the window ledge, and Rusky knew at once that it was Jonathan.
Güvercine bak.
Jag kommer Jonathan, jag kommer.
Jonathan had talked about a place called Nangijala, where you went when you were dead.
Jonathan'ın yaşadığı yere geldik bak.
And Rusky went there too, to Cherry Valley in Nangijala.
Jonathan.
Jonathan was sitting there fishing. Imagine
Balık tutuyor
Rusky's joy.
Jonathan.
But in Nangijala, there was also Wild Rose Valley, which was no longer free. It was ruled over by cruel Tengil and his even more cruel dragon, Katla.
Lejonhjärta ännu inte funnen. Vår nåd i fursten.
But an ISO grandfather, Matthias, lived there too. Jonathan and Rusky hid in his house until it was time to set out for Tengil's country.
Lejonhjärta!
Their journey led across the bridge over the terrifying Karma Falls.
Oo, şimşek
And it
çaktı.
was there for the first time they saw Katla. The she-dragon from ancient times.
Jonathan, jag är rädd.
Dragon.
Then came the great final battle, which set Wild Rose Valley free again. But by then, Jonathan had already been paralyzed by Katla's fire. As they rested by the precipice that plunged straight down to the depths, Jonathan talked about Nanalima and how wonderful it was there. Then Rusky took his brother on his back and jumped over the edge into the lights of Nanalima.
så ljuset. Angelina, jag ser ljuset.
Bitti sanırım.